Western Illinois head coach Joe Davis, team 37-21 winners over Tennessee Tech this past weekend to move the 2-1 in conference play. This weekend they will be at Lindenwood. So, Coach, thoughts about your team? Then we'll go to some questions.
Very proud of our football team, staff, support staff this weekend. I think a lot to build on just from a resiliency factor coming off a very difficult loss to UT Martin. UT Martin came in here 2 weeks ago and we just could not do anything real well in that football game, and it was very disappointing on our homecoming. And I think our players took it to heart. I think it was a teachable moment for us in the season that, hey, in this league, you have to come with it every single week. You have to be prepared every single week. There has to be a competitive mindset, a certain level of energy and physicality and enthusiasm for every single game. Our players answered the bell, I thought, Saturday against Tennessee Tech. Again, a second win for us where we led all 60 minutes of the football game. And when you do that, it certainly has a lot to do with contributions from all three phases, which was very much the case Saturday. Special teams, defense, offense, all had their moments in that game where they very much complemented each other. And, just a very positive weekend for our football program. And now on to the next opponent here, getting ready for a very, very good team here in Lindenwood coming up on Saturday.
Yes, Coach. We'll go to some questions, and Barry's with us. Barry, whatever you got, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Coach.
Morning, Barry.
I wanted to ask you, over the last 16 quarters, your team has committed only 2 turnovers. And I wanted to ask you about just what that's meant for your team as a whole, and also Nate Lamb's, impact on that process of keeping the ball and not turning it over.
Massive emphasis for us as a football program is protecting the football. We really have 3 keys to victory for our team every single Saturday. They're posted everywhere in our facility, in our locker room, and the first one is to win the turnover battle. So, we start every single week with a ball security circuit, and the quarterbacks are very much coached on ball location and our route concepts. The way we carry the football are all designed to protect it. So it's good to see the kids bought into that. To a certain extent. But Nate has a good awareness. He has a good awareness for space and for leverage, and does a really, really good job with his eyes before the snap. And I think that's contributed to it. Our offensive line has done a much better job in the past few weeks here of straining in pass protection. The running backs have taken a step in pass protection, which has certainly helped us. So, the biggest positive, I think, Barry, when it comes to the turnover margin, is just overall improvement as a football team. Are we where we want to be at? No, not even close. But I think that there is continued buy-in, there's continued improvement from a technical and foundational aspect that has certainly contributed to us being able to protect the football.
I know early on you weren't settled up front on the O-line. You made some different combination changes. It seems like the last month or so you've been settled on a group there. Do you feel like you're the most settled you've been up front on the O-line?
Boy, great question. You've known me long enough. I don't know that we're ever really settled up front on the offensive line. I think we've stayed healthier the past couple of weeks, knock on wood. We've got some older guys in there that have played a lot of football that we're mixing in with some of our younger guys that we feel good about. I think that rep count has helped both the older players and some of the younger guys, and certainly something that we're going to continue to build on. There's been some stalwart, so to speak, in there on the offensive line that have played a lot of snaps for us, this season. But to your point, absolutely. I mean, the continuity, regardless of football program, is something that you're always looking for in the offensive line. And when the same guys can consistently play together, their communication improves, their technique improves, and their trust in each other improves. So hopefully we can continue to build on that.
Matt Henry had a really nice game against Tennessee Tech, and I wanted to ask you about what does his skill set do for this offense, and why is he a good fit?
Yeah, Matt's interesting. I mean, Matt was a guy that we took at the mid-year at the transfer portal. We knew that we needed a lot of help in the wide receiver room, and we did not get a chance to see him very much in the spring because he pulled his hamstring, I think maybe the first or second practice, and was very limited all spring. and then came into a pretty crowded room of new receivers this fall that took us a while to kind of sort through. But when Matt's healthy and he knows what he's doing, he's explosive. He's a very detailed route runner. He's got really strong hands. He can run. And so to see Matt have that performance Saturday probably wasn't surprising to us. We saw some of those flashes earlier in the season against Illinois State. He had somewhat of a breakout game, and we've been trying to move him into some different spots and positions to see where we could, really maximize his talents the best. So, having Matt and Nate connect like that Saturday, especially early, was a big positive for our team.
He mentioned to me on Saturday that he's glad that you found him, and he's glad that Western found him. Can you tell me a little bit about just finding Matt? And did you or someone on your staff have a connection with someone connected to Matt, or how did that all work out?
Yeah, we didn't. That's a great question, and I appreciate Matt saying that. We just were doing a very deep dive in the transfer portal, at the mid-year, looking for players. Barry, I value guys coming up. I like guys that come up from smaller levels that have a chip on their shoulder, that have had some production. Matt certainly had that at a Division II school. Had a little bit going on in recruiting, but I don't know that he had anything really definitive. Matt's a father. He's got a 1-year-old son that lives in Florida. So to get him to come up to Western Illinois, I think it was a challenge. And I say that in a positive mindset. I think he looked at it saying, wow, am I going to move all the way up to the Midwest? I've got a young son, back at home. But he bet on himself. He bet on us. And it just a cool story to see him have some success here early in the season. And again, hopefully we can continue to build on it, because Matt certainly works very, very hard at his craft.
Your pass rush had probably the best day of the season on Saturday, and I wanted to ask you what that means for those guys to gain some confidence, and also if you could share a little bit about DJ Taylor's status.
Yeah, very excited about him. I mean, I mentioned to the media after the game Saturday, DJ was down, Marcus Morris was down. We had a fairly steady 4-man rotation at those 2 defensive end spots. And so, Tommy and Jalen Riven and then Peyton Bradford really had to pull a lot of extra rep duty on Saturday, and they answered the bell. They played, very, very high energy, and created some sacks, created some disruption. Tennessee Tech started a new quarterback, and those guys were able to get him off of his spot quite a bit during the game. So excited for those guys. Had a lot to do with our success Saturday, had a lot to do with our success on third down, certainly contributed to the rushing stats, being low for our opponent. So again, hopefully those guys can continue to gain confidence here as we move forward. DJ's day to day right now, had a shoulder issue in practice last week that kept him out of the game. He's working very, very diligently with our training staff. Hopefully have him back soon, but right now he is day to day.
Last thing I had for you, Coach, was that, your current roster has a presence of some guys from the St. Louis area and Western going back a ways. The jersey behind you, Colin Saunders, is a kid that came from the St. Louis area. With Lindenwood, do you see, being a new team in the league, do you see the opportunity there to have a regional rival there with Lindenwood? I'm sure you run across them on the recruiting trail, et cetera.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think there's a natural rivalry with Lindenwood being less than 3 hours away. Have a lot of respect for their program. They've done a nice job of really improving their roster and making it more of a Division I type roster. I remember when they came into the league in 2022, and although they had some really, really good players, you could still see they were in that transition period, just from a roster standpoint, with the size of the players and the physicality and the speed. And Jed's done an excellent job. His staff's done an excellent job of just making their roster bigger and stronger and faster through the transfer portal, through junior college recruiting. And to answer your question specifically, absolutely, yes. I mean, Lindenwood comes into Illinois to recruit. We certainly go into Missouri to recruit. And both programs, I think, have a little bit of a blue collar kind of tough Midwest mindset to them. So I could certainly see it developing into a great Big South OVC rivalry.
Great. Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thanks, Barry.
Coach, talk a little more about Lindenwood's rushing game. They seem to use their quarterback is mobile, sort of like your quarterback, and they also have a few different people they mix in. So on paper, it looks similar to like sort of what you all do.
Yeah, boy. I mean, this is another team. I mean, with all these teams in the league, Kyle, that have had these tough early season schedules. I mean, this is just a way better team than their record indicates. they've got weapons all over the place on offense, starting with Jeff Caldwell. It's just a major problem for defenses as a wide receiver. I'm sure every coach has said it that's played against them. They've got, two big tight ends, very athletic that they play. They have really a three-headed monster in the backfield at running back. And the quarterbacks played a lot of football. He was the starting quarterback at McNeese State last year, and we played him at Eastern. So and hurt us with his legs and with his arms. So they've got plenty of weapons to do a lot of damage on the offensive side of the ball. And their running game has been very, very powerful. They have, I think, the most rushing attempts in the league, and first or second in rushing yards. So they've made a commitment to it. It certainly has helped, their offense significantly. It's very complementary to their defense, and it improves their ability to get Caldwell one-on-one, which is ultimately their goal as an offense, to get that kid one-on-one and to get him the football. So we have a massive challenge on all fronts Saturday down in St. Charles, and excited to go down there and hopefully play a great football game.
Coach, thanks for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Thank you so much for having me on, guys.